Welcome to Across the Chain. I am Jared Lutz, and this is another week of discussions regarding crypto winter economic hurricane warnings coming from Jamie Dimon, who's the CEO. We'll go CEO of JP Morgan. Chase, we will go into that in a little bit later. But for right now, let's get sort of a health on the market and see what's going on with cryptos. I always tend to use CoinMarketCap. So looking at obviously number one, Bitcoin is in the last 24 hours, it's up 1.39%. We've been seeing Bitcoin kind of hop between 28 to 32. It looks like it's trying to make another push for 32. We'll see if we can get across it, but anything above 30 is good in my opinion. Ethereum is trading kind of sideways. They're around 0.77 for the day in the last 24 hours, down 3.36 for the week. Ethereum is going to be a really good one to watch, especially over the next couple months or so, because they've got the ETH 2.0, which we'll be talking about a little bit later in this segment, where because today was the first live test. So we'll look at an article with that, but definitely keep your eye on Ethereum. I think it's trading a little low right now. Anywhere around 18, I think is going to be maybe it's bottom, but that's not financial advice. And then BNB is up 3% on the day. This is outperforming both Bitcoin and Ethereum. It is trading at 291. I still think this is trading a bit low right now. I like to see right now in comparison to everything else, I'd like to see BNB trading around 300 in comparison to Bitcoin and Ethereum. BNB is going to be really interesting to watch because yesterday, for anybody who is paired with BNB, this is going to be definitely something that you're going to want to watch in the near future. This next quarter, the SEC has placed BNB on their radar. I think that they've probably always been on their radar, but just yesterday there was an article that came out saying that the SEC is looking into how BNB launched their ICO and if there were security implications or if BNB was a security by that act. This is like super complicated stuff with BNB or with the SEC because just because the ICO might have been a security, meaning that they sold token, they received cash, and they used that cash to build their company. That act alone it would make it a security, but that doesn't mean that BNB is a security right now because it's based on the act. So, but we never know what the SEC is gonna be doing. They're sort of kind of flying by the seat of their pants right now. Like they're enforcing regulation that was never set, and I think that's why they're sort of going after the bigger companies like BNB and XRP. So definitely keep an eye on BNB. It is trading up right now. It is down 4% over the last 7 days. So we're absolutely going to want to take an eye on that. Now, the number one that is outperforming everyone else is Cardano, which is trading at 65 cents right now. It's up 7% this week, and it is up 16% in the last 7 days. It is by far outperforming every other top 10. In fact, it is outperforming, wow, everything in the top 20. So I've always been a pretty big fan of Cardano. They have a massive ecosystem of developers. They're one of the strongest developing blockchains. So if you don't know too much about Cardano, I definitely would dive into that. This is interesting to watch them outperform right now. So all right, that's a real quick look at the health on the market. Let's dive into our article. So we are going to be making some changes with the show. You know, we just got started, and so we're going to be playing with different time lengths. You know, I think on the earlier shows we had up to an hour, and then it kind of went down to 45 minutes. We've had some under 30 minutes, some over 30 minutes. We're going to kind of play around with the format and get a good sense of what the base, our users, our viewers want in the content that we create. So, and how long that they want the episode to be. what what we're gonna have on the show. We're gonna play around with all different types. So we're gonna have interviews on the show. We're gonna be doing different segments with Across the Chain. So there's gonna be some segments that we're gonna introduce here, which is my quest for the top 100 tokens. So the quest itself is to find, of the top 100 tokens, pretty much excluding blockchains, what, because those aren't tokens, those are actually coins, but what tokens in existence right now in the top 100 are actually a, what would be perceived as a common company, or so a corporation or company or organization that is producing a product or service and receiving revenue for it. So where the existence of the company or the token isn't completely reliant on investors continually putting money in or trading, right? So we want to sort of get away from that and find projects that are viable outside of constant investment dollars coming in. Because if we do find those, then regardless of what happens to the price of crypto, those projects are going to still be in existence. I want to highlight those types of projects because those are the ones that are truly, in my opinion, not financial advice, worth investing into. Because when you see, like right now, you see crypto winter comes along, you're going to start seeing all these different tokens and coins that are starting to, they lose a lot of value, and then you start seeing layoffs. 30%, sometimes 10% on the exchange side. I've seen layoffs like in 2018. We saw layoffs where blockchains were laying off 70% of their workforce, right? So we don't really want to see that, and that's largely because the price of the token went down, meaning that they don't have, and their trade volume went down, so they're losing revenue. So we definitely want to find projects that have products or services that can sustain crypto winners, since that's the title of today's show. With today's show, we're also going to be, and with every show that comes after this, with Across the Chain, we're going to be delivering a Medium article. So right now that's at medium.com/at DCAP. I think we can fix that URL link, so it's just medium.dcap.com. I'll look into that. But the point is that if you like to read this information more so than to watch it, you will have that available to you, and all the links that we talk about here, and the news articles and the data that we share will also be on that article. So let's just dive right in and go into the main conversation I want to have today, which is on crypto winter and these economic hurricane warnings. The term economic or hurricane warnings I am specifically taking from Jamie Dimon, who again is the CEO of JP Morgan Chase, where and we can pop up the article here, where Jamie's talking about that there's a hurricane coming, and that's an economic hurricane that he's almost making me feel like this is going to be a complete disaster. This isn't going to be a recession. This is going to be a depression, and like the whole world is going to collapse. I don't know. When I hear hurricane, I feel that way. It makes me feel scared, and it makes me, and I don't know if that was his intent. I don't know if he's using the word hurricane to make me feel like I need to brace myself, and because he uses that word too, or in a quote he says, "You'd better brace yourself." Diamond told a room full of analysts and investors, JP Morgan is bracing ourselves, and we're going to be very conservative with our balance sheet. Look, I think the way he phrases that right there, it just makes me think, yeah, of course. I mean, if we're going into a recession, if we've had massive amounts of inflation, we should be conservative. Being conservative isn't a hurricane, right? So a hurricane is like not me being conservative about where I put my investments. That's me like going to the store and getting as much toilet paper as possible. I wasn't one of those people, but I'm just saying, collecting as much stuff as I can to survive, like in shelter. That's what the word hurricane means. Whereas like his quote is saying something kind of different, where he's saying being very conservative with your balance sheet or your investments. I wouldn't always read into the words that some of these big dogs use, like Jamie, who have a lot of power, who are constantly in the news. I think he should be careful about the words he uses. If it is a hurricane, obviously we should be prepared for that. But, if you are going to be an influencer like he is in the financial markets, don't don't just say be conservative. Like, show us how to be conservative. Be an influencer. Tell us what you really think is happening, and provide those data points, because his words can go really anywhere. So not to meander too much on that, there are a lot of people talking about crypto winter and these economic warnings, which are all still here. But if we are truly in crypto winter, then consider this Christmas in July. I know I live in San Diego. I've never really experienced winter. That's not true. I used to live in Utah, but my winter here in San Diego is very different. And if this is crypto winter, if we are in crypto winter, then I'm cool with it. Like, this isn't that bad, right? Like, I don't think it is. I think there's a great buying opportunity, but it highlights the question that we need to ask, that is, are we at the bottom? Because if Jamie's saying that the hurricane is coming, that means that we're not at the bottom yet, right? So this is where we sort of look into all the data points, and so let's go into that a little bit, and then we're going to come revisit this conversation, because I still kind of want to talk about the R word, which is recession. Everyone says R word. All right, so looking at the data points, I like watching with the market data. I always go over Glassnode. You guys watch any of these videos, and I'm constantly looking at Glassnode. So Bitcoin price action may not show it, but on-chain fundamentals point upward. I've been saying this for like over a month, that I just don't see when I think crypto winter, I think that it's going to 13,000. BNB is going to 100, or BNB is going to 130. That when I think of crypto winter, that's where I think that it's going. But for, I want to say, over a month now, I've been saying that on-chain analytics just don't show it. They don't show that we're going to 13,000, right? So let's go over some of these data points, and I'll highlight them on the screen. And then also, despite all of these bullish signals that I'm about to point out, we're still seeing that that Bitcoin is trading down and struggling to get over 30. I think, again, where Bitcoin's at right now, I love it. I think it's great, especially obviously if it stays. So let's check out some of the data and analytics here. So the number of Bitcoin addresses, and I'm looking at this first one right here. The number of Bitcoin addresses holding at least 0.1, which would be roughly about $3,000, reached a new all-time high of 3.5 million addresses. So a couple things to note here. People can have multiple addresses, right? So this doesn't mean 3.5 million investors have 0.1, but it means that there are 3.5 addresses that have at least 0.1. And that number is growing, right? These are retail investors. These are the small investors typically. And we're seeing that their confidence level isn't being shaken by everything that's going on right now. They're still investing. They're still putting money in. They're still buying the dip, if this is the dip. The next point down here is the percentage of Bitcoin supply has supply last active over 5 years reached a 4-month high exceeding 23.2%. This is good or bad, right? So like I actually like to see Bitcoin supply not active, right? In the sense that they moved their supply over to cold storage, and so it's long-term holding. And that's how I've always looked at Bitcoin, and not just Bitcoin, most cryptocurrencies. I'm not really a gambler myself, so I like taking portions of my paycheck and dripping them into assets that I see holding for decades to come. So with that type of investment strategy, you're not too worried about the price. You just want to make sure that you're putting your money into assets that are going to last over time. And of course, with appreciation and growth, you're going to get the returns for retirement or whatever your goal is. But what this is showing is that with reaching this high is that we're getting more adoption. We're getting more people in. And that's great. So the next data point down here is Bitcoin has been lost or held for at least for the long term reached an 18-month high at 7.3 million BTC, worth nearly 221 billion at the time as we put this down. So that is showing you the scarcity, that either people have lost it or are holding on to it for such a long time that it's not active. That's pretty significant, because 7.3, and we just crossed over 19 million Bitcoin that is in circulation right now. So, I don't know what the exact math is on that, but that's roughly, what would that be, like 40%? I don't know. I'll figure it out. But that's a lot of Bitcoin supply that's lost or held in long term, and just not active. That shows you that much of the supply is it should be looked at as not going to be dumping, right? When we're looking at on-chain analytics, we want to look at what is the likelihood that Bitcoin's going to move to the exchange and start dumping and selling. If we're looking at going into crypto winter, true crypto winter, where BTC would go down to like 13K, right? So with a 40-ish% of it being not active or in long-term holding, that's pretty significant data point to suggest that BTC is not going to go down to 13K. Not saying it's not financial advice, I just don't see it in the data. So Bitcoin's 7-day moving average reached a 1-month low at 3.1. Let's just read the article if you want to check out all these different data points. The last one that I am going to highlight here is that Bitcoin continues to leave exchanges. Bitcoin leaving exchanges, as I've said on this show every week for over the last month, Bitcoin leaving exchanges happens for one of two reasons. It happens either because exchanges are moving the Bitcoin into a cold wallet for security purposes, which they all do and they all should do for security precautions. The other reason why is for long-term holders. So for people who don't plan on buying or selling Bitcoin for security purposes, they also move it into cold storage. Either which way, that's a very good sign, because that shows that, especially as the exchanges are moving them off, that there's not pressure from their buyers and sellers on their exchange, their users. They're not requiring them to carry that much Bitcoin liquidity, which would mean that people are selling. So all great signals. This is something that I highlight on all of our shows. This is what it looks like with Bitcoin leaving exchanges. So this is the entire course of Bitcoin. We're not going to go through all that, but you can see the orange line is the balance on exchange for Bitcoin, and then you've got the gray line, which is the price. So this is where you see the divergence here, where you see Bitcoin leaving exchanges and the price continually going up, right? So here is where we're at right now, and you can see even after this major spike right here, this was on May 11th. This was basically when the whole thing with Terra was going down, and there was a massive sell-off. So this is what you're basically seeing here, is you're seeing Terra move it onto exchange, where you're seeing that spike. And then since that happened, you're seeing it go right back down. So we're still, the data is showing us that users and exchanges are continually moving Bitcoin off the exchange. Why would they do that if they're planning on selling? My point here is I don't think people are really planning on selling. And so I don't see us going into what would be considered crypto winter. And again, if we are in crypto winter, then it's a San Diego climate and we love it. It's great. So, don't be too volatile or reactive with your current investments. Okay, I might have beat that one to a pulp. Let's go back to the article and let's start diving into some of the market news, right? So these are always going to be articles that I've personally gone through that I wanted to highlight, and we can discuss them. The first one is with Binance US. This is also very interesting because we saw with BlockFi and several other companies, they had issues with the SEC for staking. I bring this up because I was just talking about BNB and how they're getting probed by the SEC for their ICO, and I'm sure a bunch of other stuff. And I literally on the day that there was an announcement that the SEC is looking into BNB, they launch staking on their exchange in the U.S. Okay, so I was really excited about this. I trade on Binance. Our company's token is paired with BNB for right now. So let's look at the program here. They're finally rolling it out. The concern on the SEC side, does it? Oh, here they actually talk about it right here. So the SEC's lawsuit against Ripple, this investigation could have broad implications on the future crypto regulation. I'm reading this segment right here. Although Binance alleges that BNB is a currency, the SEC's view is as a security. The outcome of the probe could set a precedent for how the agency and other government institutions define crypto assets. So in the case with Ripple, they're actually trying, I think a win for them with the SEC is they're trying to get traded as a commodity and not as a security, which means that the regulatory compliance wouldn't be with the SEC. So if BNB is considered a security, that is going to have massive implications on its price, I think. Again, not financial advice. But this segment is about staking and not about the SEC. So let's dive back into the staking. You'll be able to stake with BNB, and I believe that I'll pop it up right now. But I believe BNB was like 6%. But BNB, Solana, Avalanche, Cosmos, Audios, Live Peer, Graph, they're all going to be available for. Let's go to Binance.us so you guys can see the interface. It's pretty easy too, and I don't believe I have to sign in to check it out. All right, so you can earn up to 18% APY, and you can do it with these 7 tokens. So BNB is looking at 6.4, Solana is 4.5, Avalanche is 7, Cosmos is 12.2. That's pretty good. The Graph is 9. Live Peer is 18 and Audio is 16. Here's what I want to make sure you guys understand about staking. Staking protocols with Binance are going to be different than they are with DCAP, which is going to be different than they are with BlockFi, which is different. They're all different. You got to make sure that you're looking into what the type of staking is and how long you're committed to staking those assets. And if you were to pull the assets, what is the penalty? A lot of people just go right in and they buy the asset, they start staking it, and they don't realize that there's a length of time and that they could end up losing money. For 2 big reasons they could end up losing money. One, they didn't understand there was a length of time, and then they get penalized when they pull it. Or 2, just because you're getting a, let's say 100, well, let's just say 10% to make it easy. A 10% return on BNB doesn't mean that you're getting 10% more USD value of BNB. It means you're getting 10% more BNB, right? So if I have 100 BNB and the APY is 10% and I get 10 BNB, at the end of the year, I'm going to have 110 BNB. But if BNB decreases in price by 15 or 20%, then I would have staked those assets, I would have gotten them, I would have accumulated more, but the value in my investment is actually down. I'm not saying that to dissuade anyone, just a lot of people I talk to just aren't grasping that. It's not like it doesn't make sense, and then they're just not grasping it. So, make sure that you're aware of that. In the case of BNB or like Bitcoin or any asset that I believe that for the long term, these are still, even if I lose value this year, accumulating that asset because I believe it's going to last over time and go up much further than it is right now, that's still a good investment for me. Just make sure you're looking at all those different angles, all right, let's go into the next article, which is how the crypto winter has impacted the DeFi sector. The DeFi sector is the sector that just got demolished of all the sectors, I think, that got demolished by this last retraction of Bitcoin in the whole crypto market. I'm not going to go through and read this whole article just because I can actually show you, but you can go to the Medium article and definitely click on it, and you can go through this article. But I can actually show you what happened to to the DeFi market you know what? Actually, this is better to do on TradingView. TradingView is cool. If you guys have never used TradingView, it's an awesome tool. I love it. So I'm gonna go up here and let's look at. Well, this is not actually the place that I want to do this. Can I? Yeah, there's definitely a place here. I'm like in a weird here. There we go. All right, so let's look at market caps. So right there, what I did was I went to markets, I clicked on crypto, and it went to a different dashboard. And then from there, I click on market caps. So we're seeing the total crypto market cap. Obviously, it's down. It's been fluctuating between 120 and or 1.2 to 1.25 trillion. Again, staying at these levels right now is about where we were last year, right? So that's all still good on my part. But look at how this trended down. And then look at how dramatic the difference is on how that trended down. So the total DeFi market cap dropped from roughly 123 billion to 53 billion ish, versus when looking at like the total market cap from 1.78 trillion to 1.2 trillion, right? So the DeFi got destroyed more than anything else. That's what that article is roughly going to talk about. I wanted to show you in a graph. Again, to check that out, you can go to TradingView. Heading back, let's look at, I like talking about regulation. Anyone who is scared of regulation, be scared of them. We want regulation. And so regulation is what's going to bring more adoption into crypto and grow the entire sector. So let's check out this article. We've got Republicans, Democrats coming together. That's intriguing alone. So what I like about this the most, especially this image that I'm looking at, are these two senators that that one is a Republican from Wyoming, the other is a Democrat from New York, and they're working together so that they can bridge crypto and traditional finance. What I like about this image is as two women. The reason why I like that is because it's my personal belief that the women are the next big catalyst that are gonna, when we get the adoption of women, that's going to catapult crypto into a different sector. Because right now it's like, I don't know what the exact numbers are. It's like 97% of men, and I think once women come in, it's going to be a dramatic push with crypto. But this is the meeting and going over different regulatory compliances so that the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, this is what XRP is hoping to be regulated by, and the U.S. Security and Exchange Commission are, that everybody can get together and create a framework, right? So like what's happening right now is the SEC is going out and enforcing with zero framework. They're just saying, hey, this is how business is run, and so we're just going to use that framework, and that's loosely maybe okay, but it's not. Because by going out and enforcing, they are now, for people like myself and other developers, they're creating a situation where I'm worried to develop without a framework, because I don't know, I could be breaking the law. You're making me interpret, or you're making me pay tens of thousands of dollars to go to an attorney to interpret. Just because I pay $10,000 a month to check out to talk to an attorney doesn't mean that attorney is going to be right. That attorney's also just assuming what the SEC is thinking. We need a framework. We need to know what the SEC is thinking. We shouldn't be scared that the SEC is going to come after us for something that they didn't tell us we couldn't do, right? So that's very scary for a developer, anybody who's building in crypto right now. That's super intense. And so it would be better if they worked with us and provided a framework and then enforced it, right? So rather than enforcing it and saying, okay, now this is precedent, when we didn't know that what we were doing, we weren't allowed to do. All right. So moving on to the next article. We did talk about this briefly, which is, and this is roughly going to be like our last article because we already discussed the Jamie Dimon. But again, if you want to read any of these articles in depth, you can just come onto the Medium article and click right into it. Ethereum is on the testnet, so and it's completed its merge. So this testnet is this is for the Ethereum 2.0, which is slated to launch in August. If it actually does get launched in August, I will be stoked. I will be impressed. So this test on the testnet, this has nothing to do with current Ethereum. It's not impacting it at all, but they are just doing it today. So there's not too much to update about it, but definitely follow this because when they're going to test it on the testnet for a couple months, and when they believe it's ready to go, they're going to do the merge, and they're saying that they believe that's going to be that's going to be in August. So definitely keep tabs on Ethereum 2.0. I think it's going to be one of the biggest events crypto wise of the year. And if you don't know what it is, it's Ethereum is moving from a proof of work consensus to a proof of stake consensus. There are many different types of consensuses out there. The three main, in my opinion, is the proof of work, proof of staking, and proof of authority, and they all have a different way that the blockchain arrives at its consensus. To save you time from me over explaining, I won't go into detail what all three of those are, but we will be releasing on our channel a lot of educational videos, and so you'll see videos that will explain exactly what proof of work is, proof of stake is, and proof of authority. Proof of authority is like Binance Smart Chain. Proof of work is Ethereum and currently Ethereum and Bitcoin, and then proof of stake is where Bitcoin is going. I think that will take us through across the chain for this week, and next week we'll be here with, I don't know, maybe more crypto winter stuff. But as long as we stay where we're at, this is less of a winter and more of a nice vacation where we can buy cheap assets. So, all right, take care for this week, and we'll see you next week on Across the Chain.
To it come continuous streams of data. It is